Matt Miller. Regret the podcast. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Regret the Podcast. If you're watching, you can see me. I am shirtless. I have a towel. I'm wearing a towel right now. I just took a shower. Do you hear that mic noise? Mic noise, the number one mic noise podcast. Let me just move around this mic and make a lot of noise. I just took a shower 2 hours ago, and I sat here thinking about what I was going to say during the podcast while exporting a different podcast. And I never changed out of my shower gear here, so if you're watching it, you can see my bare chest and a towel around my legs, maybe a little fucking leg action if you want to beat off to me or some shit. I'm looking at you, fellas, ladies, everyone. And yeah, this is episode 6 of Regret the Podcast. This is probably going to be the best episode. It's just me. You hear that more mic noise? It's just me alone in my room here. I have to burp. And I'm not going to burp yet, but okay, there it is. Episode 6. This is the mic noisiest podcast. I think that's good. I think right there is perfect. Yeah, just took a shower. I'll tell you a little time update. It's 1 a.m. 1 a.m. 97% done with this other podcast. So what do I regret in life? You know, I regret a lot. I'm running out of money. In case you're wondering, I'm running out of money. I recently worked at it was like a beauty fashion show. I worked 3 days, 3 8-hour shifts. It was like a beauty show. They had like 2 runways, and I was collecting trash during it. I was walking around with a trash can and a dumpster up and down aisles of like people selling beauty products, and they barely threw away shit because they're selling their shit. Hopefully this loud-ass computer isn't coming up on this, but I bet it is. And they're barely... I'm next to a computer where I'm exporting a different episode. But yeah, they were selling shit, beauty products. And I was cleaning up their trash, walking up and down aisles. And as far as I can tell, fashion is bullshit. This was a temp job. I made $20 an hour, which is pretty good, right? $20 an hour just to walk up and down aisles and pick up trash. And yeah, I watched some fashion shows, and there was just like women wearing like fucking, I don't even know what they were wearing. It was just like fucking, they were like dressed like big stars with stupid makeup on, and like their hair was cut stupid, and they would just stand there with their arms out or down and shit. And that was fashion, I guess. Seems like the whole thing is bullshit. I don't know. There were some hot chicks there, I guess. That was nice, but I was just doing my job. And this is not true. Everything I'm about to say is not true. I did not get a free 5-hour energy. I did not get a free aloe for my hands because I was supposed to be working. And if you did these things, they would fire you. So I did not do any of that. I did not get a free 55 cents that was dropped on the ground, even though I don't think that's actually against the rules. I think if you find a quarter and a nickel on the ground, that's not considered breaking the rules if you pick up money that was left behind. The third day I worked there, I was just like throwing away shit. And like I felt bad because there was a bunch of like fashion shit that just wasn't left behind, like merchandise. There was like a mirror, like a complete like mirror in the box that I just threw away because you're not supposed to take shit. I don't know. If you're watching, I was just itching my dick, so that's going to be... Hopefully YouTube doesn't flag this, you know? YouTube doesn't flag the video, but if I'm going to be sitting here in my towel, maybe they will. Maybe they will. But yeah, I was working this fucking... And I haven't worked a job in a minute. And I forgot that a job, specifically a temp job like that, where I'm like, I was considered a porter. A porter is just like... Every time I talk to like, I guess my coworkers or the other people temping, he was just always complaining. It was always like, well, I didn't expect to do this, da 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 da. Where are they? Blah 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 blah. It's just like everyone was complaining, and I'm like, is this just how people live? I forgot that that's what jobs were like. Jobs like that, shitty jobs. It's just people fucking complaining all the time. I used to work at a grocery store. I worked at Stop and Shop. I worked at Market Basket. And you just talk to people and they just complain about working and bullshit. It's like, fucking find something interesting. I don't know. Don't fucking complain about shit. But yeah, fashion is bullshit. It was... I heard a couple times there was like on stage, there was multiple stages where they were like doing hair. And they're like talking about your hair and how you should fucking spray shit on it and do stuff. And they're like, you don't want to have Marge Simpson hair. I'm like, is this fashion hack? You know what I mean? Fashion hack. It was stupid, but $20 an hour. And that was, I just looked at my credit card. I owe $700. So that was 3 days times 20. Those 8-hour days is like $480 after taxes. I don't even know what that is. $370. I'm making that number up. 376, 400, whatever it is. Maybe I get all of it. But yeah, so if you want to send me money, I'm going to run out of money. I'm mattmillercomedy@gmail.com on PayPal. On Venmo, I'm Matt Miller Real. And I do have a Patreon. It's Matt Miller or some shit. Matt Miller Real on Patreon. I bet that. I don't even know what it is. But yeah, just send me some money, you know? If you send me $1,000, I'll send you a picture of my dick without my face. If you send me $100,000, I'll send you a full body naked shot. That's what I decided for the podcast what I would do for you guys, for the listeners. Mic noise, mic noise, mic noise, mic noise. I would, $1,000 just my dick. That way, even if you're like, oh, you send an email, I'll be like, oh, I Googled that dick. It's not mine. $100,000 full body naked shot. Full body naked soft dick, full body naked hard dick. I am a grower, not a shower. So the soft shot's going to be worth a lot to someone. The hard shot's going to be worth a lot to me. And yeah, so there you go. Yeah, fucking fashion show. It was silly. There were some very attractive women there, and there were some very unattractive women there that were trying to use makeup to make themselves attractive. But you know, it's about what's on the inside. Because if you're just eating burgers and all you have is grease inside of you, it's not that great. Ah, fuck. I am fat. I guess I've been losing weight. Someone told me, oh, you look like you've lost weight. And I'm like, I guess I did. I've still got a fucking gut and shit. Maybe I've lost weight. I don't know. It just makes me feel fat because I'm like, oh, I lost weight. Well, look at this fucking bullshit. But I know people like it. I know some dudes like it. Maybe some chicks like it. But here I am, you know, with a mic in front of my face. You're listening. All right, regret the podcast. I feel like I haven't mentioned one regret at all. I sort of regret I was supposed to work Sunday, but like there was no confirmation email. And like I knew I was probably working. Like I sent an email. I was like, they're like, when can you work this weekend? I said Sunday, and they didn't respond. But I'm like, I could probably gonna work Sunday. But instead, I got really drunk, and then like I went to bed at like 5 a.m. Woke up at like 12:30 to a text like, "Hey, you're working at 11." And I was like, "Ah, shit." Well, I wasn't like, "Ah, shit." I was like, "Fuck it." You never respond to my other thing. But I ended up working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that's a little money for me. But yeah, send me money. I don't know. Other people need more money than me, but I'm going to run out of cash. I'm drinking Powerade. I was eating Pop-Tarts earlier. Powerade and Pop-Tarts. They were brown sugar Pop-Tarts. S'mores are my favorite. I got this cut-off bag of Takis Fuego. For some reason, I love this bullshit. I know there was a big trend on YouTube where people ate these. It's delicious. This is Crunch Time Podcast. Okay. Let's get into the regrets here. All right. I made a whole list. I'll start at the bottom because that's how I fucking roll. One time, I was at a bar. I feel like last podcast I said a lot of this shit, but And I met this gal, and I danced real great. And we were vibing and shit. I remember the fucking bouncer was hitting on her, too. She wasn't great looking. It was whatever. But the bouncer and me were hitting on her. And I didn't really give a fuck. Oh. And she ended up with me at the end of the night. We ended up going back to her place. Me and her friend went to her apartment. And we were hanging out. We ate some grapes. And I remember her roommate was like, don't offer her more booze. If he gets more drunk, he won't be able to get it up. And I'm like, but anyhow, went into her room and like we were lying there and I was trying to like make out and start doing shit. And she was like, no. And I was like, okay, no. No, it was all no. So I was like backing away. And I'm like, all right, I'll just leave if that's it. So I started to leave and she was just like, wait, let me blow you. Or no, she didn't say wait. She said, wait, let me suck your dick. So it was like she brought me to her place and then like she's like turned me down, which is fine. And I was just going, and she was going no. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I'm just gonna leave then. I mean, and then when I was about to leave, she's going, wait, let me suck your dick. And then she like jerked me off and sucked my dick and bullshit. And like, I think she expected me to leave after that, but I'm like, well, now I'm tired. I'm just gonna sleep here. And then my phone died. And like, I didn't know, I knew kind of where I was, but I didn't know. And then like in the morning, I'm like, I'm just going to go. And she was like, okay. My phone was dead. And I was like, fuck, how do I get back home? And I didn't really know. And I kind of had to like figure it out with street signs and shit. And I'm terrible with geography. I was only like probably 5 miles away from my house. This is super vague, and I had to rent like a city bike where I was. And kind of guess my way home till I got home. And it took me forever that fucking morning. I was fucking hungover and shit. And my point here is I regret that morning not being like, hey, could you get me an Uber or something and I'll just give you money? Instead, I was like, no, I can find a taxi in the morning. And there was no taxi where I was. And I had to guess my way home. So that's a fun story, right? Is that a good story? Chick just says no all night and then says, hey, can I suck your dick? That's kind of funny how that works. It's barely a regret story. Let's go to the top. That story is probably top 3, top 4, probably top 5, probably top 10, probably a million times better than any story anyone's heard. She was a college student. She had green grapes at her place that we ate. I had a buddy, I remember one time we went to P-Town in Massachusetts, Cape Cod, Provincetown, which is like it's known for being a gay area, right? We went to this club, and there was ladies there, and we were dancing and such. This isn't a regret, but this is just a silly story. And my buddy was dancing with my buddy was dancing with this lady, right? And grinding up against her, and then we all went home and whatnot. And the next morning, my other buddy went downstairs to see him, and he was like in the bathroom, like holding his boxers, and they're like bloody. And he's like, I think I cut my dick last night. And I guess while the other lady was grinding against him, his dick sort of, like, noise chafed against the zipper there, causing his dick to bleed. And it just makes me think, it's just like, how did he not feel that? But I mean, if he was drinking, and I could see not noticing cutting your fucking dick. And that was fun. I remember we threw his fucking boxers in a recycle bin, which is I'm not for. I'm for recycling, kind of. I think recycling is good. I think recycling aluminum is good. My knee is out for all you people that want to jerk off to me who's watching this on video. I think recycling things is good, but I don't know. I've read things that are like it takes more energy to recycle certain things than other things. Like wood, maybe you shouldn't recycle because we can regrow trees and the amount of energy it takes to I don't know the facts. Someone can check that on me, but I'm just bullshitting right now. Just bullshitting right now. I have not been drinking tonight. I did not spend all that time sitting here not drinking. All right, one time I was in college, I'm looking here, and we weren't buying some marijuana. And we went to this drug dealer, right? And we asked to buy some weed. And he pulled out a bag, and in the bag it just said weed on it. Like he'd confuse it with his other drugs. Like it's just like ecstasy, weed, cocaine, cereal. So you like confuse the cops. You know what I mean? Fuck, I used to do this bit, and now I'm forgetting the bit because weed was legal, so I'm like, I can't even do the bit. The bit was like ecstasy, weed, cereal. And the cops were like, huh, is this weed? I don't know, but this cereal is delicious. It was like the punchline. Fuck, I'm all confused here. But anyhow, he did have a big bag full of weed. It was just labeled weed. Like he wasn't, like he's like, what the fuck is in this bag? Oh, it's weed. So yeah, he just labeled all his drugs in big Sharpie on like big plastic bags. And we bought weed from him. I don't remember how much weed we bought, but this is all alleged. And then we went back to like our place, and like me and my buddy, who I was just talking to, who just texted me today and said that he listens to this and he was wondering when the next one was happening. So now I'm including him in it. And now if he hears this, he might text me and be like, hey, I heard the thing. So it was like me and my buddy, and we were super drunk. And remember, we went back to my place. We were sitting on the couch. And I was with some lady there. He was with some lady. And I don't think I kissed said lady that I was with. I think I tried to like do touching, and she was like, no. And I don't know if he really did anything, but he's gonna tell me if he. I don't even think she let him kiss her, or maybe they did kiss. I think nothing came of it. But yeah, he just reminded me of that story of buying weed from this drug dealer who labeled his bag of weed with the word weed because he was going to confuse it. He's just like, can we have some weed? He's like, fuck, I don't know which one of these is weed. Is it the pills? Is it the powder? Is it the liquid I have over here? Oh, it's this one that says weed. Oh, it's the green shit. Maybe purple. I don't know. I guess that's a professional way to do it. You label it weed. And this is Regret the Podcast. What do I regret about that? I regret making that mic noise. I don't know what I regret about that. Let's move on. You know, that's just a silly story. Fuck, I've already recorded it pretty good. Oh, shit. This is a fun story. I don't think I've told this. So on OkCupid, one time I was messaging this girl, and I set up a time to meet her at a hotel, and she messaged me. She's like, hey, do you have snow? Referring to cocaine. And I was like, no. And then she's like, hey, do you have like weed? I don't know. Maybe she said grass. I don't know. And I was like, yeah, I can bring that shit. And I bought it for my buddy. And then I drove to the hotel where she was at, and I met her, and like she looked super young. And I was like talking to her for a while, like figuring things out. Then I went to my car, and I got the weed out of my car. And I remember when we were in the car, I had like a tube of like, I don't even know what it was, like M&M minis or some shit. Or no, maybe, no, it wasn't M&M. It was like aspirin that came in a tube. And she took the tube and like poured it in her hand. And she's like, oh, this is just aspirin. She's like, oh, I usually keep other drugs in there. I'm like, no, I don't have that shit. And then she put the aspirin back. And then, well, she did that. I noticed in her nails, they were like all covered in blood and shit. Like she had like bloody fingernails. And I was like, this is fucked up. She looks real young. She had bloody fingernails. Like, what the fuck is this shit? And so then we walked around the joint. We smoked it, and she smoked it real weird. She like puffed up her cheeks when she like inhaled it, and like I kind of think she wasn't smoking, you know. And then like we got around the building, and we were gonna go into like the hotel. And like we backtracked. She sounded like immature. Like, she sounded like a child, the way she talked. It's hard to describe, but she didn't sound like a sound person. Like, she worked at like a CVS, and I'm like, oh, you're a pharmacist? You worked as a cashier, which is fine if that's what she did, but I just thought she was older. And she was talking about living with her mom and how she escaped this weekend to like stay at this hotel. And I was like, it's fucking weird. And I was like smoking, and I got super high. When I'm high, I get super paranoid. This is alleged. I get super paranoid, and I started to think that this girl who said she was 25 online was actually just a cop who was playing a little girl trying to set me up, which doesn't make any fucking sense, because that would mean that the cop said she was 25, and then I got there, and then she acted immature, even though she was of age, and like, it didn't make any sense. But like, I was paranoid, and I was talking to this chick, and she was just acting way below what her age was. And I was like, I don't trust you. You seem too young, and your nails are all bloody. Like, I was thinking it was a cop impersonating a young person, even though the cop was of age, so it would be an of-age person. But like, yeah, when she came around the hotel to go inside, she's like, let's not go in the main entrance. Let's try to go in the side. And I'm like, why can't we just go in the main? Who cares if we go in the main? We're just people. Da-da-da-do. And then I was like, fuck it. I don't believe you that you're old. I was like, can I see your ID? And she's like, no, I don't have my ID. Or like, she's like, why do you have to check my ID? And I was like, fuck it. And I just left, because I was like, I don't trust anything about you. And then like, I walked away, and my car was in the parking lot, and I couldn't drive high. I had bad experiences driving high, as mentioned in the last podcast. And so I just like walked in front of the building, like in front, like the hotel was like behind another building. So I just walked like all the way in the front, was just standing there. I'm like, I'm going to walk down the street and find somewhere to stand. But I'm like, fucking fuck. And then like my car was there, and she messaged me. She's like, wait, I have ID. I'm horny. And I was like, fuck it. This shit's already been screwed. You know what I mean? I'm done. And I'm like, my car's going to be there. What if she fucking like hits my car with a baseball bat or some shit? And I called my buddy, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Can you come here and pick me up, because I can't drive my car, you know? I'm too fucking high to drive my car. So I got my buddy, it was like late at night, just show up. He's a good friend of mine. He's a real good friend. And he showed up, and I'm like, you got to move my car out of in front of the hotel to like closer to here. And he was like, okay. And then to here, I mean like past the hotel, so she doesn't wreck it. So like, he moved the car from the hotel to like further away so she couldn't touch it. And then I was talking to him, and I'm like, thank you. He's like, yeah, I was like worried. Like, I checked the trunk of your car and stuff to see if you had killed someone, so I wouldn't be held liable for anything. And I was like, nah. And he moved it. He was a good buddy. And then we just sort of sat in his car for a while until I sobered up. And then he's like, I got to go. And I'm like, okay. And I ended up sobering up and driving back home. But yeah, that was fucking dumb. Sort of regret doing that. I don't know. When I get high, I get super paranoid, and like, she was definitely probably of age, and I was just like freaked out by the whole situation. She was just a super immature person. And then later, like on OkCupid, she was like, you're fucking dumb. I hate your beard anyway. And I was like, fucking, I don't know. I just didn't trust you. The whole situation was weird. So yeah, that night was just all fucked up. What was that, Friday or whatever? I don't think I had to work the next day, but I sort of regret that whole fucking situation. Her hands were all fucking bloody. I think she was just like a fucking drug addict or something, and she was just like probably like whatever drug made her like scratch herself till she bled, right? And like, I just so happened to show up that night. Yeah, that's fun. I'm not wearing a shirt. It's in my belly. If you're listening, you can't see that, but if you're watching, you can see that. All right, I'm going to take a little break and then come back with more Regret the Podcast. Regret the Podcast is brought to you by blood. Inside of everyone is blood. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Regret the Podcast. I am still in a towel. I am naked underneath the towel. My dick is underneath this towel. I got one hand over one boob. I'm fucking chilling, top villain, blah, 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 filling. All right, what other regrets do I got here? I mean, I got big regrets that I don't want to talk about. Interesting story. So, if you're wondering, this is all not true. But at my previous employer, I used to jerk off in the bathroom. Have you ever done that? If you ever jerked off in the bathroom at your job, let me know. Just to jerk off in the bathroom. Number one mic noise. Fucking burp. Fucking podcast. I used to jerk off in the fucking bathroom. At my previous employer, I used to be alone at the job a lot. And there was a time, this is not true, where I brought my laptop in the bathroom and I jerked off to porn I had downloaded. I remember one time I was in the bathroom doing that, and I heard someone enter the building, because it was one floor, and I was just in the bathroom, which is next to the main room where people worked. And I was like, oh shit, now I gotta act all fucking, I have to walk out of the bathroom with my laptop. But it was just a fucking intern who had had their headphones on and was doing work. And I'm like, they don't even know shit. So there's no regrets there, you know? No regrets there. I have slept in my job before. I have a big regret that I haven't really talked about. I've alluded to many times, if you listen to other podcasts, that involved me drinking in cars and stuff, in which I think you can figure out what I'm talking about when I say me drinking in cars and stuff. But I think a future episode I'll talk about that more. But so there was a point where I had legal troubles, I had no car, and my job was 45 minutes away from me, and I had to sleep at work for a while. Well, not for a while. It was just for a week while my boss was on vacation, because I had really no way of getting there. And I think he knew, but he frowned upon it, and then I was fired, but whatever. This will all make sense more later when I describe more stuff. But one time when I was sleeping at work, I don't know why I'm embarrassed to say it. I regret the podcast. So allegedly I had a DUI. Allegedly. And I don't think this episode I'll describe the events, because I'm saving that for a very special episode in the future when I feel more comfortable. But there was a time when I was sleeping at work, I had no car, and I was just my job was 3 or 4 miles away from the spot where I was doing work, and I had to finish doing work there and then go back to the office to sleep. And I was walking back from that, and I ran into someone from town, the town I was in, that knew me, and he's like, what are you doing out just walking about? And I'm just like, oh, I just decided to go for a walk. I'm trying to lose weight. And he's like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. You live around here? I'm like, no, I live far away from here, because I did. And he's like, oh, well, let me drive you back to your car then. And I was like, no, I'm just going to go over here. And he's like, if you go over there, you have to cross a highway. There's no sidewalk. I'm like, I'm just going to go over there. And he's like, no. I just, when you're done with your walk, just come back here and I can drive you to your car. And I didn't want to tell him I didn't have a car and I was sleeping in the office. But, yeah. He just I was just talked him out of it. And then I eventually just walked over the highway, over the non-sidewalk place back to my house. And, yeah, that whole fucking experience. Fuck it, we're already here. We're already doing this. This is tough for me to talk about, I guess. This is all alleged. This is all very alleged. None of this happened. Someone else went to go see Dave Attell. Dave Attell is my favorite comedian, number one comedian. Dave Attell inspired me to do comedy. I'm holding a pen. He inspired me to do comedy. I remember I watched his first half-hour special on Comedy Central as a kid, and I loved it. And I watched it so many times. And he had this one bit about, like, getting places. And he's like, if you want to get somewhere, you got to ask a man with one leg. He knows where to go. Like, you go up to him. This is his bit. This is Dave Attell's bit. He's like, he's got information. He's like, a little slippery out today. Okay. The elevator's out today. Okay. And then it was like versus like a man with one tooth. It's just like, he doesn't have a good story. He's not like a man with one arm. He's like, nah, I'm 87. Or a man with one whatever. He's like snowblower, 92. A man with a lot of taffy is like, I ruined the punchline. A man with one tooth is like, well, I like a lot of taffy. I butchered that bit completely. But like, Dave Attell, his half-hour special on Comedy Central with like the helicopter behind him. It was dropping bombs. And he was like, he looked back in and he's like, I'm bombing. And at the time as a kid, I didn't understand that's like when a comedian's doing bad, they call it bombing. I was just like, he's just bombing. But no, the special was hilarious. I would love when that special was on. I always watched stand-up specials as a kid, but Dave Attell is my favorite. So anyhow, this night I'm referring to them, starting to tell the story of, I saw Dave Attell at the Wilbur Theater in Boston. And I was like feeling pretty sad that day about some chick from a while ago, and about things in my life and shit. I was just not feeling great. And I went to the theater with my buddy, and I knew my buddy, he's a good buddy, great friend of mine. And I went to the theater with him, and he brought his girlfriend, and then like, it was just supposed to be me and him, but she showed up. It was a whole thing. And he was like texting her the whole time, whatever. It was fine. I love the kid. I don't want to say anything bad. He's great. This is a shout out to him, actually. He's one of my best pals. Where was I going? Anyhow, saw the thing, the show. It was hilarious. I love Dave Attell. It was great. Went home, was feeling kind of down about shit. Drove out to it was late at night because we saw a show at night times. Late at night, the bars were going to close not far after. Drove out to a bar, allegedly. This is all alleged. None of this is real. This is a fictional person. This isn't me. I'm going to refer to this person as fucking Ion. So Ion drove his car. This is because this is Ion 4 on this Powerade. To this bar. He had like a McDonald's cup of Coke that he drank, maybe poured out some, and maybe poured in a bunch of liquor and drank that. Went to the bar, had a couple drinks, blacked out. This is alleged. Ion attempted to call a lot of Ubers, called his friend. No one answered. Took his car, drove it into another car. No one was hurt. Everyone was fine. Tried to get the other driver to like not do anything. The police came, arrested Ion, and he spent the night in jail. Allegedly, Ion then was still fucked up, had his fingerprints done, and woke up the next day in his cell. And then the bail's person came, I don't know what time. Was this 8 a.m. for Ion? It was 8 a.m. And the bail's person came, it was like his $40 bail. Can only pay cash, and I'm like, I don't have any money. And they're like, well, if you don't have any money, you can't do it. And then this other person, this very gracious person, who only had 2 cell phones and a wad of cash on him, probably a drug dealer, bailed out Ion. And then Ion went outside and was like, let me get your information, I'll pay you back. And he's like, no, pay me back in court. So let me backtrack here. I'm going a little forward. So Ion allegedly just told the cops he only had 6 drinks that night, which would still put Ion over the limit. And Ion allegedly blew like a 1 I don't remember what Ion blew. Like a 1.6 or 1.8. And the limit's a .09. And Ion got handcuffed. I think it was raining that night. Ion's car, like, the front tires were blown out. He had an Uber with 3 people in it. Ion was fucked up. Spent the night in jail. And then after Ion spent the night in jail, like, they just, like, when you get to pay bail, they just put you outside with your shit, and you don't have your license anymore. And then Ion had to call his roommate, be like, yo, I fucked up last night. How do I get home? And then I figured out how to get home. Ion did. When I said I meant Ion. And then Ion figured out how to get home. And then he proceeded to look up what he should do. And he got Ion got a lawyer. It cost $2,500, which was like more money than he couldn't afford that. Couldn't afford the $2,500. So the friend from the theater paid for it, which I'm forever grateful for. And Ion is forever grateful for. And then Ion had to go to court the next day. And couldn't plead not guilty. But settled with, was guilty. There was no, like, fine, like, the other people tried to sue me, but they sued me much later, and I didn't have to pay anything. They didn't show up to the court date they were supposed to show up to. So Ion was okay. Ion just had to pay all the court fees, and then Ion had to go to a DUI class, and Ion still has to pay back their friend. God, I don't know why I have to talk about things this way. Talk about things so secretly live and telling everyone about it. I guess my point of this story is drinking and driving is very wrong. You shouldn't do it. You could hurt someone. You can hurt yourself. You can fuck up your life. It's very costly. Do not do it. And Ion has not done it since. And Ion does not have a car right now. Which is fine. And Ion very much regrets doing that. But it was like Ion that night was just in such a dark fucking place. I wish Ion could explain that to everyone. Ion was in like such a dark fucking hurtful place. And it was almost like Ion wanted to fucking fuck things up. Because Ion sometimes would just like, when he's not right mentally and he's like, everything's kind of going to shit, would just like act out and he would just grow bigger. Because Ion would just like, when he was unhappy, he would just self-sabotage. Just to prove Ion's self-right, he would self-sabotage himself. And that night, Ion sort of knew that was gonna happen. He knew that driving his car to the bar, knowing he was going to get real fucked up, would result in him driving his car and fucking getting fucked up. Going to jail, fucking things up. Maybe Ion enjoyed being bad, even though it was wrong, and he regrets doing it. It was a good rush because he wasn't happy that day. And he hadn't been happy for a while about things. And the next day was Mother's Day, and he didn't see his mom, which was fine, because he didn't want to see his mom the next day. And the next day, all he had in his fridge was fucking Papa John's pizza. And you might be like, Papa John's pizza? Fuck Papa John. In Ion's opinion, the best fast food pizza is Papa John's. Better than Domino's if you're buying fast food shitty pizza. Yeah, maybe Ion thought that night that's what was going to happen. And he needed that to happen to change things. Because Ion had been working the same fucking job for like 6-ish years. There was like fucking relationship shit that fucked him up inside. He needed to move on from shit. And he was just down and he kept ruminating about his fucking shit that happened to him. Mostly about like this one gal. But about other shit too, other fuck ups. Stuff he couldn't change, stuff that was just weird. And he sort of wanted something crazy to happen. Maybe Ion had done shit before in the past, like drink cough syrup or drink 30 shots, in which he wanted to roll the dice with his life to see if it was still worth living. And he's still alive, you know? Oh, God, I hate that I have to talk about it this way, but I'm so fucking paranoid. Ion's paranoid. This isn't me, but yeah, Ion likes to self-sabotage, and self-sabotage is bullshit. He likes to ruminate about things in the past and constantly bring it up in his mind, remind him how shit he is for doing certain things. Likes to fuck himself over just to verify his shitty existence. But Ion fucking shouldn't do that. It's fucking stupid. Should be positive and not negative. You should be positive and not negative out there, you know? But yeah, DUI, a fucking DUI on the record. A guilty DUI. It doesn't go away. Employers can see that Ion can't drive Uber, Lyft, any fucking bullshit. And it was wrong what he did. That's not the right move. Should not have done that. But he did. And he sort of wanted it to happen. And that's not right. That's not right at all, acting out in that way. But fucking life gets to you, you know? Fucking gets to you after a while. And things get hard. I don't know. I get down, you know? I get down a lot. Fucking financially worried now. Worried about what I'm going to do. People I know. I feel like nowadays is like the biggest narcissist era in human history. Like, I'm doing this fucking podcast alone. I got a fucking YouTube channel. Everyone's just like posting their thoughts online, like, and they just wanted to know it from them. You get likes and shit. I feel like we live in a big narcissist age. Like, egocentric times. And I think that's why, like, I think people in the U.S. like kill themselves the most. I'm probably making that shit up. I don't even know. But it's just like, we're not like a community. Oh, yawning is always good. And people want to hear a person yawn while they're fucking listening to a podcast. But we're not like, I'm fucking tired. What time is it? 1:43. But we're not like a community, you know? Everyone's like separate, doing their own shit. And it's just like, we're just saying our own shit. I mean, I guess people are supportive. I got to be more supportive of people I know. Get less ego-based, you know? Get less ego-based. Can't be so egotistical. But yeah, the fucking DUI. It's fucking dumb. Ion, I remember, was talking to the police, and he's like, I'm not drunk. I drive my car home. And the car had 2 fucking flat tires, like blown out tires, and the front hood of the car was all fucked. The Uber it hit was okay, actually. It wasn't fucked. And then, like, Ion had to make a claim to his insurance. And he was just talking about how it was a minor fender bender to the insurance company. And then, this is all alleged. And then he had to go to the fucking, the compound to get his car. And it was all fucked up. Like, it was, like, done. The front was all fucked up. The wheels were all fucked up. And I'm like, fuck. I told my insurance that this was a minor thing. And this was a major thing. Yeah. I hope the statute of limitation... My insurance is going to hear this. Nobody's going to tell them. Ion's insurance. It's not me. Actually, I don't think it matters. I think they already had the person try to sue me, and that didn't go through. It's actually beyond its time. So, that's Ion. Try to sue Ion. I don't know if I talked about this, how I want to talk about it. I wanted to make it more humorous, but it's not really humorous. Unless you make it humorous, huh? Add a little dicky cock in there. I don't know what that fucking means. I'm just like... My hand is on my dick right now. Hopefully this doesn't get flagged on YouTube, but my point of this is... That was really loud. My point of this is you shouldn't drink and drive. with your fucking car. Because it is wrong, it is costly, and you could hurt somebody and then maybe spend the next, 16, 17 Thursdays going to a class in which a lady tells you not to drink and drive, and you're like, what qualifies you for this shit? And she just is like, oh, my mom and dad were killed by drunk drivers, my uncle, my aunt, my kids, my dog, my neighbor. The lady was teaching me a lot of her family was killed by drunk drivers, which is actually very sad. It's not funny at all. And then they ask you at the end if you're still going to drink, and they tell the judge that you're still drinking. And you go, I'm not going to drive, though. And then you don't drive, and everything's fine. And then you move away from the city. Well, that was a lot of whispering there. But, yeah, so Ion kind of fucked things up. So that's a big regret of Ion's. Big regret. Humongous regretto. Regretzi. Don't drink and drive because you could hit a car, not hurt anyone, go to jail, have to spend a bunch of money on a fucking lawyer, go to a bunch of fucking classes where they tell you not to drink and drive, meet a bunch of other addicts, fucking people people in class who are just like, there's this one dude, no matter, it'd be like, what's your name? And he's like, I wasn't drunk that night. And she's like, I didn't ask you if you were drunk that night. He just tried to keep covering up himself, even while he was in the class and already had to deal with it. Meet a fucking lady who was a fucking heroin addict who had a kid and showed up to class drunk, and then they had to let her go. Just meet a bunch of degenerates whose lives are going. Meet a guy who said the first time he drank, he got a DUI. Just really? The dude was 65. Meet a bunch of fucking degenerate liars. And maybe I'll talk about more of that later. God, I had some real personal shit to talk about here, too. I don't know if I want to get into it. I think I might have to end this pretty soon. Talking about Ion's DUI. It's not even mine. This is for the judge. The case is over. My insurance is over. I don't even live in that state, but that's Ion. When I say I mean Ion. But anyhow, yeah, big regret there. Big regret. I didn't expect to talk about this. But here we are. So, wearing a towel. I have my chest out. I'm wearing sandals. I think that's all I'm going to do. I got more shit. I think next episode is going to be even more deep about shit. But this episode, I talked about Ion's DUI and how that was awful and how that fucked shit up. I remember I went on this date with this girl, and Ion went on this date with this girl, and within the first 45 minutes or whatever the date, Ion told her he had a DUI, and she was like, you think I'm impressed by that? You think I'd want to go on a second date after hearing that? And Ion was like, I don't know. And then we ended up making out, and then the second date, Ion ended up fucking her, and she was super loud. She was the loudest chick Ion ever had sex with. And Ion had trouble getting hard and staying hard, but Ion eventually came, and then said chick drove her to a comedy open mic. And Ion told jokes, and then she was like, I don't want to see you anymore. Fuck. Well, that's all I'm going to say there about that. There's probably more there. I do a joke about said girl there, but we're here now. We're living the life of the life. We're living the life of the life. You know, we're all just living a life, and it's hard for everyone. People make mistakes. Just know that it's hard for everyone, and don't do anything drastic. Sometimes people get over emotional or hurt or act out. Things are okay. They'll be okay. They'll be okay. Just do what's right when you can. So thank you for listening to the podcast. I'm Matt Miller Real on Twitter. Matt Miller Real on Facebook, Matt Miller Real on Instagram, on YouTube. I'm 7, which is a fucking stupid ass shit, like I say all the time. That's my YouTube. I got all my videos and shit. Twitter, Matt Miller Real. I don't know if I already said that. But yeah, thanks for listening to the podcast. Regret the podcast. Number 6. Thank you. Quick note, the alcohol cutoff is 0.08. 0.08 is the limit. At 0.08, you're over. I said 0.09. 0.08 is the limit. Okay, bye. Thanks. Regret the podcast.